Hi, this is Jamie Von Reeve, and this video is describing things that are important to me. On my website, this page is called Personhood, and I wanted to take the opportunity to read it out in video form so that those who do not digest words and images very well would be able to come to the same page as me. So on this page on my website, I feature a couple of images. One is this splattering rainbow that's caused by motor oil on wet concrete. Wherever I am, I almost always stop to look if I find something like that, because the nebula of swirling colors is constantly changing, and it's this thing of beauty out of pollution, which is something I try to look for. The next image at the top is of a campfire with some copper rods in it. Copper and other metals can react with fire in such a way that it will change the color of the flames from yellowish and orangish all the way through to blues, greens, and purple. If you know anything about color, blue is extremely rare in nature, so to have these elements interact together forms a magic that I could not miss the opportunity to comment on. Another image at the top is some wilted hydrangea petals on some wood chips, and there's a white stone in the middle. Part of my lineage involves the Christian church, and there is a verse in their scriptures that relates to those who have reached heaven getting a new name written on a white stone. I have created my own name, the name that I practice under. I chose it myself, and it has a ton of meaning. So do white stones. Here's my personhood. There's a link to the beginning, to the UN.org Statement of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I encourage anyone who is able to take a look at that and understand where we can get to as a race, a species, people, cultures, what we could all do together if we could all agree. The next thing I list on my page is my boundaries. Boundaries make space for your fuck yes. Emails will get answered within 2 business days. I don't provide refunds. I always deliver the product. Since it's a digital experience where I'm selling my words and time, you don't get a refund for a change of mind or change of heart once you've opened the product. For all legal and policy disclosures, I do have a link on my website. I am nobody's parent figure or therapist. I'm definitely not qualified. My qualifications and strengths lie in other areas. I direct people to other professionals where needed. And if I get triggered or hooked by someone, I get it professionally attended to through a therapist, intuitive healer, kinesiologist, or a folk medicine practitioner. My politics. This page and myself are operatives of the Church of Prismatic Light. No TERFs or SWERFs tolerated. If you don't know what those acronyms mean, TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist. SWERF stands for Sex Worker Exclusionary Radical Feminist. These are places and people who don't leave room for the full spectrum of human existence, and I don't tolerate that. I believe in informed consent healthcare, bodily autonomy, and disobeying any abuser. I also believe in civil demonstration. Justice is my home and compass, and in life coaching, it's a radical injustice to the client for a coach to not acknowledge systemic inequalities and oppression, giving the client space and tools and safety to process their lived experience. Some ways I go beyond acknowledgement and attempt to be an ally and accomplice. Paying Black people. Learning from Indigenous, Black, and people of color. Also, promoting their work first. Sitting with my own discomfort. Respectfully admitting fault. Educating myself without placing that burden on someone who experiences marginalization. Knowing history that is critical of my own race and includes the details of impact to other humans. Making all resources I create accessible. Prioritizing nuanced, safe, inclusive language. Proper credit for those whose work has inspired me. Distributing important resources as needed. Knowing that I will never fully know more than my own experience. I disclose these things to be held accountable to them. Thank you for your patience with me as I learn and grow. Here's my lineage. I took my first breath on a day that experienced all 4 seasons of weather. I was born under prairie skies in the heartland, Oklahoma, where the indigenous nations of Turtle Island were pushed into. I was born in one of the last towns to let go of their Jim Crow laws of segregation, near the town famous for hosting the Black Wall Street, Greenwood. I was born into a family blended of Normans, Saxons, and transracial adoptees. I'm a child of the 90s. Diversity is in my blood. I come from Irish wise woman traditions, Alsatian werewolves, Norse vulva, German fate spinners, and the British fae, with a given amount of Gallic fuck around and find out. And, dichotomous though the list grows with this addition, Judeo-Christo spirit weaver of the faith tradition. You might know this colloquially as spirit-filled Christian. All of these wild ones and their keys to life were nearly lost under the martial kyriarchy of Constantine's colonial Catholicism. The spiritual disconnect I experienced and carried being born into Catholicism and conservative, fundamentalist, evangelical Christianity was healed as I began to explore my own ancestry in accordance with the rich teachings of other cultures, primarily the indigenous. My ancestors were immigrants, investors, magicians, farmers, soldiers, musicians, child brides, community-minded artists, poets, inventors, scientists, and pioneers. Because of my ancestors, I have ties to the earth, kinship with animals, mending magic, money magic, psychic ability, artistic skill, relationship with plants, some epigenetic traumas, entrepreneurial mindset, resourcefulness, and bravery. My ancestors were strong, and I am their hopes fulfilled. This lifetime for me boasts chronic and mystery illness, navigating health changes, surviving homelessness and economic trauma, hidden artistic talents, mental health issues, estrangement from family, and child loss. I am now the most secure and stable I've ever been, and I got here on my own. My early life included an enormous amount of education, privilege, enrichment, and neglect. I learned to enjoy solitude and thrive in it from a very young age. Also been decolonizing and updating my brain from joining a cult in my 20s, so there's that. I have wanted to be a pirate for as long as I can remember, and have been a writer for only a little less time. I want you to know these things about me as you decide to work with me. And if you're experiencing a fuck yeah moment, hit me up.